Hello, my name's Narendran, the host of Master of Your Crafts podcast, learning from leaders who are continuously inspired, passionate, and driven to align with their soul purpose, sharing their gifts to bring healing to others. The music is composed by Rebecca Everett.
Today is episode number 149, and I had the pleasure of talking to Mitch Webb, a certified health coach specializing in helping men and individuals find their unique path to lasting health. After overcoming multiple health challenges, including Lyme disease, brain injury, and long COVID, Mitch now empowers others with personalized plans, accountability, and expert support to transform your life. With deep empathy and first-hand experience, Mitch guides his clients on his journey to be healthier and happier. Enjoy this conversation, and thank you for watching and subscribing. Thank you. Hello and welcome to Mitch. How are you, Mitch?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to get into this conversation from a number of levels based on your own trauma and your own emotional wounding experiences that we all have and we all have witnessed and gone through, or many might be still in
hmm
it. But based on your story and your learning and your experiences, I want to uncover some of that and unwrap some of it based on what is it you're choosing to do to get through it. And in that realm, how are you supporting others in their journey? Because I'm a firm believer that we are all where we are with great reason and great purpose, but also knowing that there's always somebody 5 steps ahead, as there is always somebody 5 steps behind. So there's a great purpose for us for where we are at this moment.
hmm Yeah, no, I appreciate that question. And yes, it's been quite the evolution of what I'm doing personally, and it's always goes back to me sharing that with others. That's why I got into this work and left the corporate world. Gosh, I've been saying 7 years. I don't know. I think it's longer than that now.
Mhm.
But I left because I had health issues. I had traumatic brain injuries, Lyme disease, heavy metals, diabetes. I lived in a house with black mold. Suffered another traumatic brain injury through an accident, and then I got three long haul COVIDs for 3 years in a row. And looking back, I was always trying to find the perfect diet, exercise, like to find a way to heal myself, because I didn't know that I had trauma, until the last maybe 2 years. And so that fix it mentality, it stems from trying to be perfect and maybe never having life throw its curveballs and thinking that we're going to get to this place and everything's going to be perfect. And I was certainly in that camp, and even learning now to let go of some of that. So the things that helped me in the beginning before I was unaware of, like many men, emotional and stress and trauma. I was really focused on nutrition and exercise, and more of like forcing and overriding the body. I was the typical biohacking bro that was. Those things helped me when I needed them. I was able to reverse diabetes with fasting and a ketogenic diet, and when it didn't solve all of my issues, I took it deeper and went harder and more intense, and definitely attracted a lot of clients that like that. I used to say, if you're experiencing stress, you just got to hit it with more stress. And I laugh now because things have shifted so much. But I was the guy that was like, hey, you're stressed out. Let's go do a hard workout. Let's jump in an ice bath. Let's go back and forth in ice and hot, and or yeah,
Mhm.
sauna and ice bath. Let's not eat for 5 days together. All these
Mhm.
things. And I still use some of these tools, but I don't look at them as a means to heal myself. I look at it more as a supportive tool when I need it. Um, and about 2 years ago when things shifted, we were in my couple buddies and I have a mental health group for men here in Raleigh, North Carolina called Men on a Journey. And I was reading The Body Keeps the Score and trying to understand a little bit about the connection between chronic disease and trauma, which has been my story. And I remember getting to the part about childhood trauma, and I was like, nope, not me. I feel ashamed to even consider that, right?
Yeah.
And I was flipped right past that, and was in a meeting and sharing about the book and sharing about some stuff from the past. And one of the guys said, "Hey, can I talk to you after this?" And let me pause right there and say, at that time, I thought my role as a leader in the group was to help these poor bastards who had mental health issues. And I thought the root cause there was nutritional deficiencies, which is kind of hilarious now. I mean, I think I know that stuff is important, but it was my experience that when I later unpacked all of this, that I can trace everything that I have been through with my health back to unresolved trauma from childhood, from all these accidents that I've been through. And it's like the universe has a sick and twisted, hilarious way of sending us messages and wake up calls. And man, it took a lot for me. And diving into this work, things changed and shifted that I didn't think were possible. Things like gut healing and getting energy back, exercising again, learning to having, I mean, even now, having days without anxiety and periods of time without anxiety at all, and insomnia getting better when those things plagued me for, 20 years of my life. And so now I'm taking what I've learned over these last 2 years with some great therapists, with some mentors like Irene Lyon that I'm working with now, and sharing some of these nervous system modalities to help educate and coach people through whatever it is that they're going through. My clients are typically like me. They've got gut issues, autoimmune, fatigue, anxiety. Maybe they can't lose weight, just different diseases, right? Like you could have given me 20 different labels throughout the years with all the symptoms that I experienced. And for me, one of the things that was helpful was understanding what can happen when we have a sensitized nervous system or we're dysregulated, and the symptoms that come along with that. And instead of thinking I'm crazy and running to the doctor every time something's off and really going after this fix it mentality, when we look through it, we'll look at these symptoms through a nervous system lens. To me, it just makes so much more sense. And so now, instead of like overriding people's bodies and teaching them how to punish themselves with diet and exercise, it's more about support and how do we get out of our head back into our body so that we can attune to the needs that, it's when we have trauma, it's like we didn't get a need met when we were young. And that could be, our own authenticity, that could be safety, could be unconditional love. And it sucks if we didn't get those things. And we certainly can have symptoms that come into adulthood. And, we start to wake up and see, man, it's the great unwinding and remembering of self. And so we get to go back to who we really were before, we stuffed all this trauma down and created all these survival patterns to prop ourselves up, to make ourselves feel safe. And as I'm creating that picture, I just think of someone being in their head, and that was me trying to think my way to safety, doing everything, the biohack, the detox, I mean, you name it. And so now it's more about, can I help someone get out of their head, back into their body, and then from a more regulated, grounded, I don't want to say calm, because regulated doesn't necessarily mean calm, but like a more embodied state, we can make incredible health decisions and ultimately become our own medicine when we listen to our body instead of relying on some external resource or person to tell us what to do.
Right, exactly. And that's quite a journey that you've had, and greater awareness in terms of who you are in yourself, but also amongst your peers. And having that analogy and having that depiction of who these other people are and the differentiation, whereas essentially we're all the same.
Yep. Definitely.
Trying to figure out life.
Yeah. intellectualization coming in handy there a little bit.
It does, but then we've been taught to live so much from the neck up
Mm,
that when we actually drop into our bodies, it can become very scary for many.
yeah. Yeah, I think we come to this work in two camps. We feel too much or we don't feel anything at all. Maybe a blend of the two.
Mhm. But it's finding that beautiful sweet spot that we can navigate that just as we would in operating from the heart versus the mind and
Mhm.
having both of them function in tandem so we can go through life and experience all that we designed to experience truly in its abundance form
Yeah. Yeah.
unconditionally.
It's like I think of the analogy like coming, I think what we're talking about is kind of coming out of survival mode, right?
Mhm.
Uh, and when I have just started to experience that, like it's like waves of moving out of activation and freeze and coming into, like you said, that more aliveness, that
Mhm.
juiciness. It's
Mhm.
amazing. And for someone who's dealt with all this stuff, and to the listener who is struggling with some of these things, it is like it takes time, but it's like coming up for air for the first time after being held underwater,
Right.
your whole life. I can't think of a better analogy.
Yeah. But somehow we find a way to survive during that process.
Oh yeah.
And even though, going with your analogy, it feels like we're a fish out of water,
Yeah. Yeah.
somehow we learn to survive in that environment too.
Yeah, it's amazing how resilient our bodies are
Yeah,
and the amazing things that they do to adapt to stressful situations or our environment.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. What has all of that taught you about you? And does it define who Mitch is today?
What has that taught me about me? I think that, yeah, I think it's taught me that my body is extremely resilient. I feel like a cockroach in some forms, like,
Mm,
uh, and I'm so thankful for that. And um, learning to love all those parts is has really been the journey. And I can tell that I'm committed to that. I'm committed to healing and improving my health. And I feel like that's the greatest gift that I can give someone is teaching them how to be their own resource and regulate their nervous system, especially if they're having, these chronic symptoms that I
mhm.
am so aware of, and learning to, become their own medicine and give themselves what they need. I mean, I can't think of a better gift, or it's not like I'm giving, I'm just kind of leading. So just helping someone help themselves, learn how to heal
Right,
themselves. Yeah.
right. When did you determine that, or when did it come into your awareness that this is part of maybe one of your callings? I'm going to say that's my language in you committing yourself and devoting parts of your life to supporting other people. I define that as a calling. So when was that for you? When did it show up for you that this is what Mitch needs to do?
I mean, it would even went back to the nutrition exercise days, even when I was, overriding and doing a lot of these, not cathartic in a way that we're releasing, more like just aggressive
Hmm.
tactics. Um, Even when I was doing that, it was coming from a good place in me. Um, I just hadn't learned. I just hadn't gotten deeper into the weeds and learned about the emotional stuff. I don't think us guys, it's like I'm in all these groups and it's like me and 20 women.
Hmm.
Um, and so yeah, it was early on. I felt like there wasn't a lot of answers. It was so hard to figure this stuff out. And to give an example, it was like learning how to eat properly and read labels. And you'd read a new recipe or whatever. You get excited. You go to the grocery store and then you bought this new product or something like that. And you a couple weeks later you realize there's like terrible ingredients in it. Um, or how do we sequence? I mean, even when I had Lyme disease and mold and heavy metals, diabetes, I felt like I was the only one in the doctor's office getting better. because I was immersed and trying to learn as much as I could. And so I found myself, I remember distinctly sitting in the waiting room and seeing some just terrible symptoms that made me not even want to be with this or accept the diagnosis of Lyme disease. Um, and so I saw these people suffering, and I felt like the medical team was looking at me like I was an anomaly because I was making progress. And that's because I'm eating. I am pushing things too hard, but some of the stuff is working. And I just found myself asking people in the waiting room, like, what's going on? What symptoms do you have? And, just trying to be a resource for them and giving them my number and saying, call me, we can
Mhm.
support each other. I can share some of the things that are working for me. And I remember sitting around with a team of doctors and educating them. Um, and the more that I was in corporate America and in sales and, very successful early on, I had a sales manager pull me aside and say, "Hey, can you talk more about your job and less about your health stuff?" And
Wow.
it was because I was excited and wanted to share, and I was like, "There's my sign." I was already up to my ears in stress working in the
Yeah.
corporate world, and I knew it was time to go. And luckily, my wife supported me through that. So I'd say it
Mhm.
started early, and with this as the picture became more clear, I've always been so interested in root cause, and I feel like I have found my root cause with the nervous system stuff, the dysregulation. As I improve that, my health gets so much better. It's like, I specifically think of like gut issues, and there's a time when
Mhm.
I could eat one meal a day. My motility wasn't moving. I wasn't allergic or sensitive to a lot of different foods, and just starting to do Irene Lyon's Smart Body, Smart Mind program. That's the course, one of the courses that I went through. And being in therapy, I'd started having these burps, right? And
Mhm.
like it's like this the fascia, the tension in the
Mhm.
fascia. That's what
Mhm.
it always felt like to me. It was like there's a kink in the hose, and that kink is like just the system just
Yeah.
crinkling up. Like if we have functional freeze in our system, it's kind of like getting on an airplane and having a plastic bottle, and it just crinkles up, and
Right.
that's exactly what it felt like. And so when I
Yeah.
started to, thaw out and work with these sensations, my gut came back online fairly quickly. And then
Mhm.
also, and I was the person that you could have diagnosed me 3 4 different ways with gut stuff. Same thing with exercise. I didn't exercise for 4 years. I went from being in the best shape of my life before the car accident and the long haul COVIDs. And yeah, I couldn't walk for more than 15 minutes at a time. I would just collapse.
Mhm.
Not like collapse on the ground, but my nervous system would collapse and I'd be
Yeah.
wiped out. So um, yeah, I mean that was a big sign too. And I'd say even more validation came in for this is the work that I want to be and how I want to help when I started mentoring with Irene. And just I mean we've been doing this for probably 3 or 4 months, and it feels like years of
Mhm.
information and learning. And I could just see I was really getting disillusioned with like health coaching and
Mhm.
weight loss and like just seeing the industry just be so overriding of our symptoms, and just like I was. And then I was able to see that the future of health coaching is through this nervous system lens, and someone who's trauma fluent, who's been through this, who's experienced autoimmune and chronic disease and fatigue and anxiety, insomnia. I mean, you name it. I think I'm so well equipped to walk somebody and hold their hand through
Mhm.
that journey. And
Mhm.
so it's like it chose me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what a gift for those
Yeah.
that you do support, and for you, for the people around you, your wife, your family, your friends, your I'm sure they're very appreciative, or appreciative sounds so mediocre of a word, but very grateful
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
you being
Definitely.
on your
Most
journey
people,
too.
most people are grateful, right? We do have
Yeah,
uh, people and family members along the way that are not accepting of our
yeah,
of our healing journey, and
yeah,
maybe there's some time for some space there, but
yeah.
yeah, for the most part, very well received. One of the first things I remember my therapist asking me, and she's like, "Well, why are you here? What do we want to accomplish? Like, what's our goal?" And I'm like, "I want to, I want to kill this anxiety. I want to get rid of it." And that was really cool to hear her say like that. It's not a bad thing. it's our nervous system perceiving a threat. And
Mm-hmm.
so eventually I learned, okay, I want to be comfortable being me authentically, and I can't remember the other piece of that. Oh, I want to feel safe. Yeah, I want to feel safe. See what that feels like. I think that's step one in any trauma
Right.
healing journey is safety. So yeah, safety and authenticity, and
Yeah.
that worked for most people.
Yeah. I believe so too. Yeah. It's a big one. It's a big one at that too, isn't it?
Yeah,
Feeling safety as adults, especially.
definitely.
It's a tough one. What do
It
you
never
feel are
feels
some of the
like learning a new language.
exactly it
Yeah.
is. It is. Especially when we step into a place that um, a wheelhouse that I'm familiar with and I've done for myself is the energy world.
Mm.
So learning a new language in your own intuition and in your own energy sensitivity of what you're feeling and what you're going through and being able to translate that through as your intuition widens and opens. It's
Oh,
a it is a new language that we get to cultivate. It's not dictated to us. We
yeah.
get to set those parameters, which I think is where the magic is. It's beautiful.
Oh, I think we actually finally get access to intuition, right?
Mhm.
I was in such a dysregulated state, activation shut down, that I was lucky enough to have a mentor who was a medical medium early on, and I couldn't connect to guides. I couldn't feel that intuition. I needed a lot of help and support when it came to
Yeah.
that, and I'm so thankful that I had that, and then learned some basics there. Like I took a class on mediumship a couple years ago that was really impactful, and now that I'm starting to come out of this survival mode, this freeze sympathetic stuff, it's like intuition is just so readily
Yeah.
available. And even in my sessions, I've learned
Yeah.
through Irene's work to not show up with an agenda,
Mhm.
to meet the moment, and that
Mhm.
is where the
Mhm.
magic is, and all the good stuff comes up, and it ain't coming from me a lot of
Mhm.
times.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Exactly. It's just being in that moment. And it sounds so passé because I think it's lost its true depth and sense of what that really means over the last couple of years.
yeah,
It's really been present, and I'm going to say with self
yeah,
rather than with the other
in all
person.
parts, allowing all parts to be there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. What do you feel are some of the key attributes that align you to who you are today?
The key attributes that align me to who I am today.
Mhm.
Can you give me an example of like what
Is
that would
there a
look like?
routine? Is there a process? Is there
Oh,
a structure that you have put yourself through and knowing that this needs to happen in order for you to stay on purpose and stay in calling and stay in the aligned Mitch for you to support others?
hmm. I mean, there's so many things. And it's also doing less now, right?
Mhm.
Like not feeling like I have to do all these things. I mean, I think that some of the basics are going to be, eating healthy and a diet that's appropriate to you, and learning how to navigate that, especially like clients that I have who have had gut issues, maybe autoimmune, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
And then a movement practice, whether that's walking, whatever's appropriate, as long as we're not um, doing it without awareness. So bringing some
Right.
some mindfulness into our I love lifting heavy and going after it, and I also know when to rest, and I'm learning to do
Yeah.
that without shame now, which is a big shift for me, because I used to just push myself through anything, and it's hard to even push really anymore, because coming, as I'm sure coming out of survival mode is extremely exhausting,
Very.
because we've had that gas and brakes on for so long,
Yeah.
and we get to really see what our window of tolerance is, and maybe how small that is. Maybe it's just like a line instead of like a window. Um, so I'm always trying to be aware of that, and so those are the basics. Movement. I really am big into the circadian rhythm, the circadian
Mhm.
health stuff. So I'm trying to ground and get sunlight, block blue light at nighttime. Give myself some good minerals. That's that's really the only supplements that I've got at this point is just some really bougie minerals. My water is pretty
Yeah.
serious.
Yeah, I'm sure.
In that. But on top of that, the thing that pulls everything together is the nervous system health.
Mhm.
And right now I'm really just facilitating some of the basics. So it's a lot of nervous system education, which I think is so key to
Mhm.
understand, what's going on in our body and normalize that, and especially if we're having symptoms. And then, in our practice, we use a combination of somatic experiencing, so bringing some awareness to the body, and then some Feldenkrais as well, which is like a form of movement as
Mhm.
a window into the nervous system, and then building out all of these tools, these internal, as we develop internal resources to regulate our nervous system. And what I mean by that is, like, if I'm in activation, regulation is just being aware of where I'm at, and then
Mhm.
saying, okay, I need a resource. Maybe I need to contain or orient, or feel my seat. I mean, as we're sitting here talking, I'm feeling
Yep.
my pelvis the whole time
Yep.
to stay present. And it's taking all of the years of health coaching and all of that stuff and looking through a nervous system lens, and then just really following my impulse as to what I need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that takes practice.
Oh yeah, it's been 20 years in the making.
Yeah.
I think that, and I talk a lot about this with a lot of my colleagues in my mentor group, mentees.
Hmm.
Uh, some of us were looking for answers for decades, and
Hmm.
all of that practice. I mean, I studied with Joe Dispenza. I did
Hmm.
DNRS. I did psychedelics. I mean, you name it. Every detox, every supplement, every biohack. And while some of it was overriding, I learned so much about my body. And
Hmm.
so when the nervous system come on board, it was just like boom.
Yeah.
It's like that was the missing key.
Yeah.
All these things helped and supported me and continue to. Um, but it's like things started sticking and making sense, and also things get a lot worse before they get better. And
Yeah.
that really was my first sign to let me know that I was in the right place. As crazy as that sounds, I couldn't use I couldn't use my old nervous system to do the new nervous system stuff. I remember Irene has her Smart Body, Smart Mind program, and she also has a 21-day nervous system program. And that's what I did first, 21 days. It took me 6 months, and I learned how to attune to myself right away and how
Good.
sensitive that nervous system was, because I remember taking a plane flight to see my wife's in-laws, or my in-laws, and I did two days worth of work on that plane flight in like an hour. It was just theory and education. It
Mm.
was just understanding a little bit of polyvagal theory, like as basic as you could get.
Right.
And I just erupted.
Yeah.
That night, couldn't sleep for 2 days in a row. And instead of being afraid of that, I got really excited. I'm like, oh wow, this is awesome. So I got some help, and just started to understand about titration and impingulation, and that a quick lesson that, hey, what you've done to get here is helpful, but it's not going to get you to where you're trying to
That's
go.
right. That's right.
Yeah,
It's a stepping stone, right?
yeah, yeah, for sure.
It's a stepping stone. And that's part of life. That's part of the journey. But you're a biohacker just like you were, or a novice going in, figuring out certain food allergies. It's all leading to a greater awareness of self.
And more safety in the system, right? If we're eating, I was reading this today and it makes so much sense. I just haven't saw it put together, but it's like, what is trauma? Trauma is a perceived threat in the nervous system, and if
Mhm.
we're eating a bunch of junk food that's causing all kinds of inflammation, and we have a bad relationship that we're living in every
Mhm.
day, we hate our job. Well, then we got some work to do to create
Yeah,
safety, and we have to realize. I think, in those situations, if I heard that from someone, I'm thinking this person's disconnected. And so,
yeah,
that's a great reawakening and taking inventory on things and what's supporting me and what's not. But
yeah. It's an interesting journey and a process to getting there, and we're never even always there.
mhm.
We're never even always there. What are your intentions with this? You shared your journey and your path, and yes, being able to share it, but is there a future larger projection or desire or aim that you have to share with what you know for others?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, right now it's me learning and really building capacity to share with others and to help other people. I've slowly been taking on more one-on-ones, specifically from the nervous system lens. The thing is, it's so effortless and easy because it's what I've been through. And I don't know if you get this. I don't know if you work with
Hmm.
clients,
Hmm.
but I get all the 6 months, a year ago of me.
Yeah,
It's like coaching myself, which you got to have a level of self-love. I think you get to increase your self-love by seeing that. And I mean, in the beginning, I was getting so frustrated. I just like, oh, I know what you're thinking. But yeah, I mean, right now it's one-on-one. This is year one of the course with Irene. There's several other courses that I'm taking as well. I'm again seeing how small my window of tolerance is and how I'm building. I know that that's enough right now. I usually work with about 5 to 10 clients at a time,
hmm,
ranging from anywhere from a month to a year,
hmm,
something like that. But yeah, I feel like this this work was made for me, and this is my medicine, and I intend to share that high and wide, and really want to get men interested in this. It's like 20 to 1 in every group that I've
hmm.
been in, and but here's the thing: when I'm working with men who have symptoms like me, like they've been brought to their knees, like they're like, I'll do anything
Yeah,
when they come find me, and it's like even the guys that are not invested and understand the power of nervous system healing, they just have seen my journey and want to get better. And it's interesting because I'll say, hey, like, have you been to a therapist? And like, no way. Like, there's a big wall there, not open to that. So I don't call it trauma work. I don't call it nervous system anything. I'm like, can
that's
you
right.
feel your butt in your chair?
Yeah.
And bringing some awareness. And it's amazing to watch the progress that these guys. I mean, I have to reach out to my group and go, this is what I'm seeing in a month or two. Is this possible? Because
Hmm.
for me, I didn't have that hand holding. I didn't have, I mean, I did, but not at the level that I feel like the support I'm giving because I've just
Okay.
pulling a bunch of different teachers. Um, the results happen fast, and
Yeah.
I'm just continue to be surprised by it. So yeah, the more that I learn, I mean, my big thing too is I only know from my experience right now, right? Like, and I'm learning about the nervous system. I've had practitioners blow me out to the point where I'm like can't function for 6 weeks. Like, I
Mm.
mean, I remember going to Hawaii and like had a practitioner that was like lighting me up, just doing a cookie cutter protocol that wasn't
Hmm.
appropriate for me, and
Hmm.
was blowing me out. And I landed in Hawaii and I just collapsed, you know.
Mm.
So I know what it's like to, be at the end of your rope and feel like you don't have a lot of options, and um, to find something like that and to want to push through it. And most of the time, I'm pulling my people back. But yeah, the sky's the limit. I love this stuff. Uh, I definitely want to continue to grow this and see where it goes. I mean, we'll see where it
Yeah.
is in a couple of years. I mean, the journey in the last 2 years has been so amazing that I mean, I just can't imagine what it's going to be the next 10, 20 years. So,
Right.
yeah.
Right. And that's the magic, right? Is we get to carve this out, well, in how we feel it's going to support others, but supporting us at the end of the day as well, because that's an
Oh,
important piece.
well, that's what I am. That's what it feels like now. It's like my clients are so similar to me now that I am coaching myself. The things
Hmm.
that I will have my clients. I have a book for my clients. I have a book for myself, like therapy
Hmm.
stuff that I'm learning. A bunch of different people that I work with. But I find that like I've got the one book where I'm taking notes and I'm just pulling stuff from my notes and oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Let me go back 6 months. Boom. Do you feel like this? And I'll describe it and they're like, oh yeah, that's it. So
Yeah.
but it's a great reminder for me as well, a reinforcement, validation, and from what I understand, the different types of clients come as we continue to heal ourselves, and move through our stuff so that we're not just attracting those. We started to attract different types of clients
That's right.
later on. And so I love watching someone get it. It's like I said, coming out of the water for the first time and getting air. Man, I want to help people, as many people as I can, support them on that journey.
And that's the beautiful gift that you get to do, is to be able to re-language trauma healing for somebody who runs in the opposite direction as fast as they can when they hear the word therapist and trauma. That you get to support those, because I think there's a lot of people out there who wear that, who are under that, in that category, and really could really could do with the support.
Yeah, I get all kinds of comments. Like it's almost like therapy, and for good reason, has gotten a bad rap. And a lot of my guys are like, they'll say, "Do you think I'm weak?" And that's the stigma, is that we're weak if we talk about our feelings, because as guys, we've taught to suppress our whole life, and what we don't know is that, man, we're not. I don't think we're even human until we start to. Well, we experience our humanness when we start to come out of those survival patterns and out of that survival victim state and into. I mean, the first thing that I noticed, and the thing that I know, like, even if I had a big session earlier this week and I've been tired for a couple of days, so you got me on a good day. The thing that I noticed first was how beautiful everything is. And that's what I was commenting to you, like when we were getting on, just looking at the leaves changing, and what a great reminder of how beautiful it is to let go, and my vision it's just like everything's so pretty to where you're just driving down the highway and you're like, wow, it's a cloudy day, but damn, everything is just so pretty. And that's something I can continue to hang my hat on, even when I'm tired, and it's just the magic of this work, it feels like.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful gift, and you get to share that with others, and you share it with me so other listeners can learn from you and tap into their own intuition and lean into becoming a better version of self.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So thank you for sharing your stories. Thank you for sharing your 20 years of experiences boiled down under 30, 40 minutes. So I appreciate you doing that sincerely and being able to share that so you can share that with others on their own healing journey. So thank you so much, Mitch. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome.
I'm Naranjan, and you've been listening to Master of Your Crafts podcast. Please subscribe, rate, and review, and join me next week for another episode. Thank you for listening.